What is stopping you from living up to your greatest aspirations, your dreams, your ideals? From living and actualizing your greatest potential? Is it fear? Is it bad luck? Lack of skills? Lack of motivation? Is it all the above? Or are there unknown forces that you can't really identify? Because each of us definitely wants to live the best possible life, however you define that. So it's one thing to define your goals and your objectives. Now, simply to state what would the best life I have look like? And then try to figure out what are the impediments. Seems simple, but it's not. Because we're complex human beings and there are many forces at work behind the scenes. So please join me in this important discussion. What's standing between you and your best life? Hi, this is Simon Jacobson, and we'll be speaking about what is standing between you and your best life. This program is dedicated in honor of Shmuel Lieberman with gratitude and warm wishes upon his birthday. Do you ever wonder what is stopping you from living up to your greatest aspirations and dreams? You know, we all have ideas of what kind of life we'd like to live, what would cause us happiness, fulfillment, both on a personal level, on a family level, communal level, social level. The question is, what's stopping us from getting there? And there are many factors that you consider. Fear. For some people, it's fear. The fear, the lack of confidence, the insecurity. This can come from our childhoods, where we never really were given that validation that we can take on any challenge. So we may have dreams and aspirations, but we don't have the wherewithal, we don't have the courage to act on it, to do something about it. Other people may feel it's bad luck. I've tried this, I've tried that. Some of us have luck, some of us don't have luck. Others feel incompetent. I don't feel I have the skills. I'd love to live a certain type of life, but I'm just not made. I don't have within me. Other people seem to have more skills. And yet, another answer may be that I don't know. There are unknowns. There are unknown unknowns. And it's a mystery. But there's no doubt that every person wants to live the best possible life. Now, of course, that itself is a loaded statement. What does that mean? There are many ways to define. How do you define the best possible life? Does it mean the richest, wealthiest person? You can buy anything you wish? Is it someone that has inner contentment? Is it of spiritual nature? Is it of material nature? Is it just psychological calm, inner calm and peace? Now, it could be all the above and more. So yes, it would be good to be able to define what you consider to be a successful life. Now, for many, it is very superficial. I just want to have enough money. I don't have to worry. I can buy whatever I want and so on. But we all know you can have that and still have no direction in life. Still not have happiness. You can buy time. You can numb yourself, distract yourself. So a big part of this is defining what does it mean to have, we'll call it a meaningful life. And then there's the second half of what stops you from getting there. Now there are a few, we'll call it axioms, givens, that need to be addressed. Some people begin with the assumption that life is unfair. That if you get the wrong end of the stick, too bad. That you don't really control your destiny. Now we all know we don't control our circumstances. What I mean by that is you don't control who you're born to, where you were born, how tall you're going to be, and many other factors that are givens. But the question is, do you control how to navigate them? And some people feel they're not. They're not in control. For again, many different factors. It can begin from young age, growing up in a home where there was a lot of critique, a lot of tension, aggression, imposition, insecure parents, especially if they've had anger inside them, that criticized you as a child. All these things undermine the building of the most important thing necessary for success in life, which is self-esteem. So there's no question that's a factor. There can be traumas in our lives, at a young age or later. Losses, deaths, divorce, upheavals. It can be personal trauma, as in the context of abuse, hurt, unresolved issues. Now, we all are born with a tremendous amount of resilience. We all know that. But still, resilience can also be taxed. And resilience itself is a tool. You could have two people who experience the same setback, and yet one seems to have more resilience than the other. So it's critical to establish a given here. I come with an approach, and I stated right up front, that you have everything you need to navigate your life. This doesn't mean life is always going to be easy. This doesn't mean you have no challenges. But for every challenge, you have a strength to deal with that. And even the setbacks of an upbringing, a home that was not functional, that was not nurturing, that was not validating, you also have deeper strengths to deal with that. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. Obviously, some people are blessed and things are just, they have an easier life. The right place, the right time, less challenges. But everybody has more resources than they think they have. Now, this is vital because if you don't have that confidence, it would be like someone going into a war and they don't feel they have the ammunition and the strategy and the tools to win the war. How could you fight a battle if you're in doubt? That doubt itself is demoralizing and weakens us. And that's what brings me always to the point that you have to recognize that you have within you, beating within you, just like you have a heart, you have a soul. And a soul has tremendous powers. And sometimes you see them only in dire circumstances, in difficult times. Pressure, challenge will bring those resources out of you. So having that given is critical because, again, without that, then you're relying on what? On arbitrary factors that hopefully things will work out today? Now, you'll say, 1 second, I don't know if I have a soul. Or I don't know if my soul has these resources. I don't believe it. Or I don't have the confidence. It's part of the problem. So that's why the first step is get to know yourself. Get to know your soul. Not just your body. Even with the body, someone will say to you, can you run a marathon of 20 miles? You'll say, no, I can't do that. But then you see people who do that. And how do you know you can't? You may not be able to do it today, but with conditioning and exercise and proper priming and preparation and training, who knows? I'm not saying everyone has to run a marathon of 20 miles, but the same idea with any challenge. And that's even the physical body, because we know the body has a lot of potential that when developed and actualized can do a lot more than you can ever imagine. How much more so the soul? How much more so the brain, the mind? How far can your mind go? And you see, when there is challenge, your mind becomes creative to find a solution, to get out of this place, stuck place, or whatever it is that's creating duress or distress. So the first step of all in finding and living up to the happiest possible life is to get to know yourself, to get to know your strengths, get to know your soul. And your soul comes with faculties. Faculties, cognitive ones, emotional ones, behavioral ones, as well as superconscious faculties. With that, you can then begin to access those so-called well springs and resources that may be hidden, and very often are hidden from us. There's nothing more beautiful to see. I mean, no one wants to see challenges, but nothing more beautiful to see when you see someone overcome an obstacle, a handicap, by being innovative, creative, finding a solution, digging deeper. You see this both on medical level, even on physical medical situations, but especially emotional and psychological ones. People who have that inner sense that we can get through the situation, no matter what. And that can be a combination of faith, trust, good support systems. There's something powerful when you see the dignity of someone getting through a challenge and coming out stronger on the other side. So that means that not only positive experiences in life, but even challenging ones, even negative ones, can propel us and lead us to places that we never could have imagined. But I want to talk a bit about more of the negative forces, those voices within us that can weaken our resolve and not allow us to really spread our wings. I find that fear and insecurity, which go hand in hand, are invisible forces but very powerful ones. Because they're not obvious. They're not loud. Their power lies in what they don't do, which means they don't let you move. So they can also seem so innocent. It's like when you're stuck in a place, you're not moving, it doesn't sound dramatic, but the fact is you're not making a move. So things come your way, you become either philosophical or you start weighing options. Bottom line is you're not making a move. And it's often driven by some form of fear or insecurity, because you may make a mistake, you may be judged, you may be laughed at, or in general, you've not been trained to take a risk. As we all know, the greatest risk of all is not taking a risk. So what's the counterforce to fear? Of course, is courage. So where do you get courage? So let's take given situations. I mentioned military before, just as an example, because it's a very blatant and open situation where there are challenges. You have to fight a battle, there's an enemy. But the same is true in sports, in business. When you begin and you don't have experience, there's going to be all kinds of unknowns. But when you find a mentor or a veteran that's been there, what are the things they really give you? It's confidence. They say, here's what we do. Here's what we've done in the past. It's not a guarantee, but you're then walking with someone who has gone through trial and error. So in life, that's the same idea. It's to find people in your life that have been there. They can't live your life for you, but they can give you guidance and direction based on their own experiences. Now, some people are even afraid to ask. They don't want to be laughed at. They don't want to be judged by somebody. But that my friends, there's no way around that. You need to ask. You need to find people. So for any area that you really aspire to, find someone. Find an example. There's a person. I don't want to be like them, but I'd like to achieve something they've seemed to have achieved, or at least in that direction. And reach out to them. You never know. Write to them. Try to contact them. Try to find a third party that can introduce you. And it doesn't have to be a superhero. It has to be someone that in your life. I say, do you mind if I have a conversation with you? You learn more from people with experience than anything else in life. It's one of the used resources that we just don't avail of. And that could be someone in your family, it could be a parent, it could be a grandparent, it could be an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, a grandmother, a grandfather, or it can be a stranger as well. The point is, to make a move in your life, you have to make a move. I know that sounds common sense. But you know what? Most of our troubles is because we keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results, which they call insanity. Or like I like to put it, if you think what you thought, you say what you said, you do what you did, what are you going to have? What you had. It's a mathematical certainty. So you need to shift something. You have to shift your thought. Think different, speak different, act different, and then it's possible there'll be different results. Not just possible, there'll definitely be different results. So it's getting out of your own way, it's getting out of your own stuck routines. The paralysis of your inertia is one of the greatest challenges. Now, how do you do that? Well, that's where you need willpower, you need motivation. And for some people, yes, it's hitting rock bottom in a way where they have no other way. They're desperate. There's no other way. You're in a burning building, God forbid. I don't mean physically, psychologically, and you got to run. Now, it's always best and easiest to do things not in desperation, but sometimes that is the catalyst. What sadly can happen is that you start getting accustomed to not achieving what you really dream of. And you start resigning yourself and throwing in the towel. Basically live a life, as Thoreau put it, that most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Sometimes it's not so quiet, but often it's very quiet. And you just go along, you go through the motions. You go through your regimens and your routines, try to make a living, try to satisfy other people's expectations, demands, needs. Sometimes it works well, and you hope for the best, but that's not taking control of your life. That's reacting and hoping it's going to work. One of the most important things that the soul teaches you is that you have what it takes to initiate, to be proactive, to take the bull by the horns. Now, this doesn't mean some people get intimidated. This doesn't mean suddenly having a courage of a bullfighter. I don't know why that example came to me. But it means that you're not a victim that has just been beat up and a product of your environment, of your circumstances. That you have a soul, you have a powerful divine soul with an indispensable mission and calling. And it's time to access it. Not only you need it, the world needs it. And that begins the beginning of the process. Because without that type of attitude, it's very easy, unfortunately, and sad, to just gravitate to the status quo of not making a move, the path of least resistance. That is why I find that one of the most important things, no matter what a person is dealing with, is to show them, respect them, honor their dignity. You're special. You're not some doormat. You're not negligible. You're necessary. to the bigger plan, to the cosmic plan, to every individual, and to yourself. Because if we don't have that value, it's easy to just, as I said, say, I'm a nobody, who am I. And today with technology, you can so easily distract yourself and live vicariously through others, and live through fiction, through other lives. So much can stimulate your senses. But it's time to be you, the original you. And to find the people around you that have that confidence, that believe in you. And begin small steps. Doesn't have to be big steps. Another key element is not focusing on you and your feelings. I know you could say, 1 second, if I don't have that, what's going to motivate me? No, your feelings may motivate you, but it's not about how you feel about yourself. It's time to start focusing on others. What are you here for to help another person? I've been giving classes now for over 50 years. I do a Wednesday night class now since 1982. Today we do it online. There was a time there was no online. And others. Am I always in the mood of it? No. You're sometimes under the weather, over the weather. There's always excuses. But it's a commitment. And it's a sense that I have something to contribute. Not an arrogant sense, more of a responsible sense. And it's satisfying. It's fulfilling. Does it take work? Of course it does. Commitment. But it's a focus on what is needed. To ask yourself a simple question. Why are you needed in this world? And the answer lies in the skills and gifts that you were given. You may have empathy. Well, everybody has empathy. You may have an extra measure of empathy that can help others. A way with people. Or a way behind the scenes that it's not so much with people. Everybody's got their strengths. But we've not been taught to think in terms of a mission-centric life, that you were given these strengths in order to fulfill a mission in life. We're taught, or by default, we learn survival of the fittest. Let me figure out what's the best way to make money. And that's how I measure success. Acquisitions. And very much defined by our society, by our social circles. But that idea that is generated from within, an inside-out life, a mission-centric life, and all the gifts you are blessed with, whether it's your talents, your opportunities, are all there to help you fulfill that mission, that's a whole different way of looking at life. And it changes everything. And I speak again for myself. It creates a framework that's bigger than you are. So it's not subject to the vicissitudes of your ups and downs and your moods and experiences. So even when there is something that may be a setback or may be a challenge, you have a mission to fulfill. So you have to find a way to get around that, to transcend it. But all this is predicated on having that type of, I'm using the word faith, but that type of conviction in you, in your own soul, in your own value, and what you have to contribute. And to do so effectively, it helps having people around you, a support system. Because it's very hard to do it yourself. Especially in a world that is constantly throwing cold water and naysayers. And people say, hey, you can't do that, you can't do this. It literally transforms your life. So when you think about your life, and you're able to list your dreams, your aspirations, your best possible life. It's not just about focusing what's stopping you. It's realizing that you have within you plenty of tools to be able to achieve. Now keep in mind, it's not always going to be the best life as you define it, because you may define it in a very childish way, or in a very narrow way, in a limited way. So it's important to also be open to possibilities. Very often, once you take that initiative, You go on a path, you realize that life takes you to another path. Not necessarily a completely different one, but you can't be rigid about it. To always be open to the spontaneous, to the unexpected. Suddenly meeting someone that was not planned, and it's, wow, that was a very good conversation. It's learning to breathe. Unfortunately, back to the fear and insecurity and other psychological impediments like that, we tend to close ourselves off. We tend to insulate ourselves, maybe to protect ourselves in the armor, in defense mechanisms. And sometimes you don't even realize how much you do so. But breathing is all about exhaling and inhaling. It's about cross-pollinating. It's interacting with others, learning from others, and them learning from you. That closing yourself off, even though it may feel safe, is actually the opposite of what life is all about. Life is about that, as I said, that circulation. Exhale, inhale, contraction, expansion of the heart. In the mystics' terms, the Rotzei V'Shuv, the tension and resolution of the pulsating energy that defines the very movement of life. It's movement, it's constant movement. What you don't want to become is lethargic, a couch potato. You want to make sure that you're breathing, and especially psychologically, emotionally, and that's through stimulation with others, serving, looking at what is your mission, what can you do to contribute. In every given situation, what can I do to help? Instead of, what am I getting and who's there to serve me? This different change of attitude is not just semantics. It's a whole different way of looking at life. And when you change that attitude, new opportunities open up. I mean, the mere fact you just have a conversation with someone you may not have had one, who knows what will come of it? And that's what makes it so exciting. Every day is a new day, new possibilities, new people, new opportunities. Every day is brimming with spiritual opportunities, with spiritual possibilities. The mystics put it, the sparks, the divine sparks that are scattered all over in your life, wherever you may travel. You go to work, you go for a walk, you're at home. There are these sparks waiting for you to release them, to allow them to soar. And those sparks simply mean opportunities in every given situation. In a meal, in an interaction, into things that may even seem shallow. But the truth is, within the ordinary lies tremendous, extraordinary potential. So my friends, you have within you a lot more than you can imagine. Think of a sea, a vast ocean. You look at the surface, yeah, you may see a little fish jump out once in a while, a fin, some other experience, but you would never know what's lying beneath that surface. Then you suddenly open up that world, the hidden world undersea, underwater, cameras today. You go scuba diving, you suddenly, wow, it's a whole universe. It's a whole ecosystem. In many ways, even more complex than on Earth. There are mountains and there are valleys and there are earthquakes and volcanoes and species, many more than the ones on land. But it's all covered up by a layer of water. Think of yourself as that sea. What is it covering? What is it hiding? How much potential is waiting to be released? And how many blockages are not allowing you to shine, you to soar, to spread your wings, and be the best you can be? It's time to claim yourself, to reclaim yourself. Children naturally have that instinct. But unfortunately, adults around them and life around them can close them down. It's like someone who keeps wanting to do something great and they keep on telling and being told you can't do it. At some point, They stop trying, which is, of course, the saddest of all. So it's time to reclaim the child within you, that enthusiastic, adventurous, dreamer, that everything was possible, the fantasies even. Those are so vital in life, that creative energy. The things that children do that can seem almost nonsensical, but that's what's so beautiful about life, because it's unfettered and unencumbered by the social norms that we develop as we get older, by other people's demands, expectations, standards. To let that spirit soar. You're that free spirit. Find other kindred spirits, connect, build the confidence necessary, and fly. That, my dear friends, is when life becomes worth living in the fullest sense of the word. And again, you need it as much as the world needs it, and vice versa. Thank you so much. This has been Simon Jacobson, meaningfullife.com, which is exactly what we do. Provide resources that help you find yourself, discover your potential, and the courage to act on it, to sing your song. So please take advantage of these resources. Check us out, meaningfullife.com. Subscribe to our offerings. Subscribe to our growing YouTube channel. Share your thoughts, your feedback, your questions, suggestions. We've now begun an experimental simonjacobson.ai, which taps into all the resources and all the content that I've created over the years. Ask any question. You can have a virtual conversation with me or by chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. And please share. Share. Thank you so much. Be well and be blessed.
This program is brought to you by the Meaningful Life Center. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at meaningfullife.com/donate.